Welcome to the Big Movement Podcast. If you're ready to create results and make huge strides in your business, finances, personal development, and health, then you're in the right place. Pushing past excuses and powering through procrastination can be a challenge alone. Here, you'll get the support, tools, and knowledge you need to get to the level you desire in your business and life. Let's get started with your host, Byron Ingram.
And welcome to the podcast here today. Today we have Kaite Lance, who is the CEO and owner of Kaite Lance Consulting, founder of the Get Social Smart Academy, and author of Get Social Smart, How to Hone Your Social Media Strategy. With more than 15 years of marketing and branding experience, she now focuses on helping entrepreneurs reach their ideal audiences online with social media. So we're going to dive in and learn how in the world does she do that and so much more. So Kaite, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here today.
I'm glad to hear it. So how did you get into the world of social media? Because everybody has this unique journey. You know, some people, they just kind of fall into it. Others, they dived in head first.
Right. I think both probably apply to me. My whole background is marketing and sales and branding. And it was probably 10 years or so ago. I was working for a local real estate company in the San Francisco Bay Area, which is where I live. And I was hired to be their marketing director. So I was doing all things marketing, you know, when it came to print marketing and design and things like that. And that was sort of right around the time Facebook started to become more than just this college thing that a lot of people were hanging out on. And my boss at the time said, obviously there's this, social media is coming out and about, and we're not sure what to do with it. We are going to task you with figuring it all out, basically. And so just kind of dove headfirst into figuring out Facebook and blogging and social media. And to be honest, really just kind of fell in love with it. I thought, what an amazing opportunity to really be able to have a two-way conversation using social media versus just one way, blast your message out. Hopefully somebody reads it, and does something with it. And that was kind of the beginning. And from there, went on to work for Inman News for many years. And then in 2012, decided to go out on my own and start my own consulting company. And so now we consult and train and mainly in the real estate and mortgage space, but just help business owners get smarter about how to use social media. There's so many questions with it, and I just love that personal aspect of it. I think it's such a great place to build those relationships and generate leads when done right.
Exactly. And you mentioned something there which I think people have forgotten about across the board on social media, is that two-way communication. Because you look at the number of ads you see out there today, and it's all one directional. It's just buy from me, instead of
right.
Let's start a conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's the mistake a lot of business owners make when they use social media, is they use it just like any other platform. So, to use print marketing as an example, a lot of times I'll see someone in real estate, they've produced this really beautiful, like high converting postcard that gets a lot of traction for them, and then they just take that and they convert it to a JPEG and they throw it up on Facebook, and it doesn't really work because it's different, right? It is a two-way conversation. And so you can certainly sell on social media, but it's more conversational, right? And for most people on social media, they're there to hang out. They're there to see what their friends and family are doing. And, when you can engage somebody in more of a conversation, maybe tell the backstory of your product or service, and really kind of be a helpful voice, be a voice of education and informative, and you build trust over the long haul. But just like anything, it takes time, and you've got to have that patience and that consistency, I think, makes a big, big difference.
Oh, definitely. You have to be consistent. I think people are still trying to live like it's, 2009, 2010 on Facebook. Like, I just put this up there and people just flock to it.
Right.
No. Don't we all wish it was like that still?
Right, exactly. It's just not the way it is. I hear this all the time. Someone will start blogging or they start creating video content. And in fact, I was just on a call earlier and we were talking just about this. It's like you can't just throw it up on YouTube or put it up on Facebook and then hope that a lot of people tune in. You really have to have a strategy. And where I think there's a lot of opportunity, and we actually talk about this in my book, is how to really repurpose your content and not get stuck on this hamster wheel of feeling like, oh my gosh, I got to do all this stuff. But if you're going to invest time and money into like a podcast, like what you're doing right here, there's such a great opportunity to kind of slice and dice that. And maybe you share the backstory of that on Snapchat, and maybe you run a couple Facebook ads, and maybe you break that up into a couple graphics that get posted out on Instagram or tweeted out. Like, it's really about being smarter about how you're not just creating content, but promoting it and getting it out there on some of the different platforms that you're on.
Oh, definitely. You have to do that because it's amazing how many people think they need to create something unique on every single platform instead of look at ways you can repurpose what you already have. We only have 24 hours in the day, and if we want to create something unique for everything, especially if someone's just that solo entrepreneur and they don't have that big team of people, there's a limit to what you're going to be doing. Otherwise, you're creating all this social content, but you're not working.
Exactly. And I always say, I mean, I'm in the business of social media, and even I am not on social media all day long. It's
Right.
You've got to have that balance. And nowadays, I think the fact that we're all walking around with iPhones, with smartphones, Androids, whatever, like, we can create a lot of this content from an app, on our phone. Maybe it's a couple graphics or even a video. Like, there's a lot we can do just as we're out and about on the go. But again, it's just about working smarter, not necessarily harder when it comes to a lot of this.
Oh, yes, you have to work smart. It's something I think people have forgotten about because they just look like, well, I have to do this because someone said I have to do this. Like, well, did you actually check to see if it still works?
Right. Exactly. And like you said a few minutes ago, I think a lot of people are still operating as if it was still, 2009 or 2010. And the game has changed in a lot of ways. There's a lot of noise that's out there. I mean, you just go on Facebook, and I feel like I'm standing on the side of the freeway. There's so much stuff just whizzing by. And, I was trying to think about how can you create thumb-stopping content, right? And really catch people's attention in the news feed. And a lot of it is being consistent, being there on a daily basis, providing really good value. And also, I would say right now in 2017, it's about video content, Facebook Live content. Just, there's nothing like hearing someone seeing somebody. And that's really, really powerful, especially on Facebook.
Oh, it is, definitely. And it's amazing of how many people haven't really caught on to that concept that there's a lot more noise out there. If you're just thinking about real estate, if you just turn back the clock a couple years before every agent and their best friend was leveraging it.
Right.
It was easy to stand up. It's like, hey, I have a listing. Congratulations. Everyone saw it. And now it's like, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, okay, so what, right? And I always try to say, when you think about what you're putting out there, and again, it kind of goes back to my example of, like, not just like putting a postcard up on Facebook, but thinking about what's in it for them, right? It's not all about you, but sort of changing how you phrase things, right? Versus, hey, check this out, this is so great. Just trying to kind of turn the conversation around, like, hey, are you looking to make your next move? Are you tired of, the neighborhood you live in? Whatever it might be, and just kind of changing the conversation a little bit into more conversational.
It sounds like then using questions, if you're going to open up videos or you're putting up content, is a powerful way to create engagement. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. And especially on a consistent basis. I think the mistake a lot of people make is they will, create one video here and nothing for 3 weeks, and they'll do another one and then nothing for, a month, and then they do it again, and they're like, oh, that didn't work. Like nothing happened, and it was terrible. But we've noticed, I mean, for myself, I'm a big believer of, like, practice what you preach. And so the beginning of this year in 2017, I made a commitment to do more video and to do it more consistently. And so now, every week, every Wednesday, we release a new vlog. It's a 2 or 3 minute video blog that goes on my blog. And we've noticed a huge amount of engagement and leads and business. And ultimately, what people will say is, they'll say things like, oh, I see you all the time. I feel like I know you. And, wow, you're doing all these videos. Like, when you start doing things consistently, people start to notice, right? It kind of catches people's attention. I think when you do it in a way that's engaging and really true to who you are, it can make a big, big difference.
Oh, definitely. You have to do that. And I think back to when I decided last year, I'm starting this podcast. I'm doing it 3 times a week. At first I thought, oh, this is going to be easy. Now it's like, okay, it's a lot, but You know what? It's worth it because people look forward to the content every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday because of that consistency.
Yeah, exactly. And when you start to build your own content, it's amazing what happens. I think a lot of people put all their eggs in one basket where they just will post stuff on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever their platform is, but they don't think about creating their own content, or they think, I don't have the time to do that, it's not worth it. But we are each kind of all becoming our own media company in a lot of ways. And when you start to put your own voice out there, as you're doing, like attracts like, right? And you start to attract people who like your message, and they want to follow you and they want to connect with you. And that's the heart of content marketing. That's where the secret sauce is. And
Right.
For some people it's podcasting, like you found. For other people it is video or Facebook Live or blogging. But it's just not enough to think about social media. It's really like, what's your content strategy also going to be? It's so
Right.
important.
And I think that's where so many people get stuck at, is they've just been ingrained on it's all about social media instead of becoming a content creator. And social media is just a distribution channel.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's a distribution channel. I also think on a personal level, especially for agents, it's also a place to connect on a personal level with people, right? So like you see at someone's birthday, taking the time to wish them a happy birthday. You see, someone just got a job promotion. You, send them a bouquet of flowers, like things like that. I think that's really, like, there's so much of that secret sauce, that can make a big difference when you use social media as a way to distribute, get your content out there, as you said, but also like that relationship building can be really powerful.
Oh, exactly. But I think we have to go deeper than that, because what people tend to forget about is the way they interact with others is sometimes they do it differently than they want to be interacted. Because you think about how many times someone sits there like, oh yes, I just want to sit here and be sold to. Well, I don't think I've ever met anyone who says that. Like,
Right.
I'm just ready to I have my Amex card here. Come on, bring it.
Right, exactly. What can I buy from you today?
Right. Because you're going about your day-to-day business, like you were saying. And especially in real estate and almost in any business, you want to have some level of a relationship with a person before you decide, you know what, I'm doing business with this person because I like them.
Right, exactly. And, it's like the old saying, we do business with people who we know, like, and trust. But I think with social media, it goes beyond that. We do business with people we can relate to, And when you think about social media, obviously there's the content part of it, creating content, and then there's also that level of putting yourself out there a little bit. Again, you don't have to share everything, you don't have to share every moment of your life, but that's how we connect with people. I talk a lot about my two boys. I talk a lot about the fact I love wine, or I love to travel, and that resonates with people, and they connect with you. So then when you do talk about business, it's people are interested, because it's not just, hey, buy, or, I'm selling, the next widget.
Right. So then what's that right balance? Because some people, I think they go from one extreme to the next, because I think we've both seen those agents where it's like, do you have a life other than showing houses?
Right. Exactly. Well, and it's funny, I think a lot of agents are I've heard people say, oh, I never share when I go on vacation. And I get it from a sort of privacy standpoint, it's a personal decision. But I've also heard agents say, well, I don't want my clients to know that I'm out of town. And I don't know, my own opinion is, I'm a big believer, work hard, play hard. And,
Right.
For example, a couple weeks ago, my family and I went to Hawaii, and I was on Facebook because I love, posting photos, but I was not working. And you set it up ahead of time, and you let your clients know, hey, I'm going to be out of town. This is how we're going to take care of you. I have a team. I have an assistant, blah, blah, blah. You get a plan in place. But I mean, I think it's sort of foolish to think like we are always on. It's 24/7. We're always on. And so I think it's good to share the business and the personal. You take a Friday afternoon and you take your kids to the movies. That's great. Why wouldn't you share that? I think that there's quality of life, right? And that's one of the coolest parts, I think, about real estate. You're in business for yourself, so you have that freedom. You just have to set it up in a way that makes sense for you and your business. But I guess to go back to your question, I think having that right balance is key. On my personal profile, I find that my personal profile is generally like the 80-20 rule, right? It's probably 80% personal, maybe 20% business. But even when I talk about business, it's not, in a very salesy way. I think it's more of sharing why I love what I do, sort of sharing kind of behind the scenes, things like that. So just being cognizant of that. And then that's also why I have a business page. All my business stuff goes on my business page. We do Facebook ads, and that's the place to connect with me on that business level. So having that plan is important.
Oh, it is. It's something that you just have to have. And I think what people are afraid of, it's that vulnerability when you let people into your life. But at the same time, you look at it as when you're sharing that you went to Hawaii for a vacation. Think of how many people you're working with or prospects go, oh my gosh, I've been waiting to go there. Mm-hmm. Now there's something in common.
Right. Exactly. And I think it's good when you share, you share your life. I do agree with what you're saying. It does put you might feel a little vulnerable, and everybody has sort of a different barometer of how much they want to share, whether it's family or hobbies or interests. But there's something really powerful about that. I mean, the first word in social media is social, right? So and that's one of the reasons why, people, I'll speak at conferences and people will say, oh gosh, I just wish I could have someone do all this for me. And I mean, I always smile because I think, well, you of course you can hire people to help you with certain things. Like we have a video editor who helps edit our video. I have a great marketing person who helps with some of our marketing. But at the end of the day, like, you can't outsource yourself. Like it'd be like having a dinner party with your 10 most important clients, and instead of you being there, it would be like having your assistant go, in your place. So there's certain things you can certainly get help with, of course. You don't have to do it all, but there's nothing like being there yourself,
Right. That's my philosophy. It's you can have people take care of ads and the SEO, all those different things, which they can be technical. That you could, if you don't do it right, well, you could generate zero results. But at the same time, you can't replace yourself. Where people, they want to see you on a Facebook Live. They want to know about what you did with your dog and all this other stuff. You can't just hire a substitute. This actor is portraying you.
Right.
That's so much important today.
Exactly. Exactly.
Although I think that'd be kind of comical to do once.
Right. I know.
Write that down. Have an actor portray me for a day.
Exactly. Today, the part of Katie Lance will be portrayed by.
Right, so getting stuff like, okay, who's going to yes, oh, no way, not that person. But
Exactly.
It's all about the authenticity of people. They want to interact with you, and and I know some people, like you're saying, there are privacy issues, and I have friends that when they'll go on vacation, because they'll have big dogs, like, we're looking forward to our vacation, and we're looking forward to our little pet Zeus looking after their home, and it's this gargantuan pit bull.
Right.
I'm pretty sure someone's going, we're not even going to attempt that one there.
Right. Exactly.
Even though the pit bull is like a 100-pound lap dog.
Right. Exactly. And I just think too. I mean, I just think times have changed too. I mean, if you're worried about your friends on Facebook, seeing when you're out of town, I don't know. Maybe there's a bigger problem there.
Right.
if you let them in. I mean, that's the key. It's like, who do you connect with? You should connect with people you want to connect with. Some of them might be your clients. Some of them maybe they're not your clients. I mean, you're going to connect with people that you trust, so maybe there's a bigger issue there.
Right. And speaking of connecting with some people, they have issues with who they connect with. I look at it as, all right, how is this person going to relate to me? Are they adding value? Is this person like, oh, this is a great individual, I've got to know them? Mm-hmm. Or you look at their profile and you think, they just want to sell me, because everything just screams, I've got something to sell, and I know you want to buy it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think it's, again, kind of a personal decision who you connect with. But, I think after you meet someone, maybe you meet them at a networking event, or you meet them, they're a potential client, and you've had a few conversations. Like, there's nothing wrong, I think, with sending them a friend request and maybe sending a message like, hey, I'd love to get to know you better. Would love to connect here on Facebook. I'm a big believer of using lists. I've been using lists on Facebook for years, and it's a pretty simple task. You can go into your personal profile on Facebook and create private lists to kind of organize your friends. So I have a list of, my high school friends and some college friends, but I also have lists of my clients and potential clients, and it helps just kind of, once you get over a few hundred friends, you want to kind of get organized, right, so to speak, with your news feed, and to kind of cut through the noise. I mean, a big tip I can give your listeners is, create a list of your clients that you are friends with. And you may not be friends with all your clients, that's fine. Maybe some of them aren't on Facebook or whatever the reason, but if you connect with 20 or 30 clients, imagine going into Facebook and instead of looking at your big noisy news feed with cat videos and everything else, just go right to your client list, and then you can spend 5 or 10 minutes being really intentional and interacting with your clients, versus, again, looking at the noise that tends to overwhelm social media.
Right, and a great way to start sorting people, especially if people have thousands upon thousands of friends, because you can sit down there for weeks to try to go through it.
Right.
Just take a whole year to do it, because guess what happens every single day? Birthdays.
Right. Exactly. I love that. In fact, one of my friends gave me that tip. It might have been you at one point where, pardon me, I have a frog in my throat, where, you see someone's birthday, wish them a happy birthday, and then put them onto a list. Exactly. Right. It's an easy tip to do. I love that.
Yeah, I always look for what can generate the best possible results with the least amount of effort, instead of I'm going to power through this. Exactly. Good luck.
Exactly.
Because if you have 3,000-4,000 friends, that's just not going to be an easy task to do.
Yeah, Facebook doesn't make it very easy to do that for whatever reason. So I agree. Just take a few every day, and birthdays that's the easiest sort of low hanging fruit way to do that.
Right.
For sure.
Right, exactly. And one of the things I think people, what they get confused about is when they should be using their profile versus their page, because you see some people that are like, oh, but I don't want to use a page because I have all my connections and everybody knows me in my profile. Right. And I'm trying not to give that, what? Look, that confused look on my face.
Right. Well, exactly. And the downside, as you know, is that if you use your personal profile too much for business, you run the risk of Facebook shutting down your profile or temporarily blocking you. I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, I've never seen that happen. Well, I've definitely seen it happen. I've seen it happen to a lot of agents who they were blocked from posting anything for 24 hours or 48 hours or longer because they were sort of abusing that, on their personal profile of just having it be all business. An easy example, a lot of times I'll see this as an agent, they'll have their brokerage name somehow in the name of, like, it'll be like, Katie Lance Remax, right? Which Remax is not my last name, right? Or
right.
Colo Maker is not my last name, whatever it might be, right? So, that's one easy thing. Like, if you've got or it'll say, Joe Smith Realtor. Well, like, Realtor's not your last name. So if you've got that in your in your personal profile, get that out. That's like a big red flag, first of all, for Facebook. But, your business page, that should be the place that you talk about business. And if you don't have a lot going on there, then that can be part of your strategy, and it's just, you want to start posting anything business related there, and also to start taking advantage of Facebook ads. As you know, with a business page, a small percentage of the people who actually like your page ever see your content. And whether we like it or not, Facebook's become a little bit of a pay to play. So, if you're posting, once a day about a listing or community information or your blog post, your podcast, or whatever content you've got, boost each of those posts by $5 or $10, and you'll start to see more and more people liking your page, engaging with your page, and not just that, but actually turning into leads and turning into business. But it takes that consistent content, and it takes a little bit of money behind it too.
Right.
And then from time to time, one of the things I do is a couple times a month, if there's something really important or really great that I want to share to my friends, I will do that. I'll go to my business page and I might share a video, and I'll share that video from my business page to my personal profile. But you do it sporadically, and that's a great way to get more people from your personal profile to your business page, and to kind of talk about business without really talking about business,
Right. And I think one of the other things, especially when you look at real estate and almost any business, on a business page, you have to talk more than just what you're selling, because let's face it, people are not buying a house every single day. It's like, you know what? I'm getting kind of tired of this. I know we bought this one house last week, but right. I want something new.
Exactly.
It just doesn't happen
Right.
very often unless someone's a little on the strange side. Like they just like to have like a gazillion houses out there.
Right. Exactly. Maybe they're Bill Gates, more money than they know what to do with.
Right, like today I'm going to buy a house because I want someplace else to eat lunch.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Well, and I think you make a good point. Like you can't just be talking about listings. You can't just be talking about, just your business, right? It has to be more than that. And I think, one of the tips I always give is I think when you come from a place of sharing and giving advice and being really helpful, that's really powerful, and whether that's local and community information. I had a conference pretty recently where somebody raised their hand and said, I'm brand new to real estate. I don't even have any listings. Like, what type of content would you recommend? And one of the things I said is, well, I would really dive into your local community. Imagine doing a Facebook Live once or twice a week, or a video a couple times a week where you're highlighting your favorite coffee shop or your favorite park or your favorite neighborhood. And, again, over the course of time, you're creating some really great content, and all of a sudden, you're kind of like this go-to guy, right, for your local area. So, again, it doesn't just have to be all about real estate, but, maybe it's your local community, or maybe it's answering questions about real estate. If you get asked a question more than once or twice, that's a great opportunity to do a quick video or a quick blog post about that piece of content. And that's how you start to build that know, like, and trust over the long haul. I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me and have said, gosh, I've been watching your videos for years, or I've been, reading your blog for, forever. And, I didn't even realize they were following me, but they were. And then they turn into business, right?
Right.
It's amazing. And what happens when they're ready to work with you is they're not like, hey, I'm searching for a realtor, I want to interview you. They're like, no, I want to work with you. Like, can you come over today?
Right.
Because you've built that relationship through content, which is really, really cool.
Right, exactly. And it's something that people have to do more of, because it's that ability to connect. Because if everybody else, the only thing they're doing is trying to sell you, but they're not inviting you to become part of a conversation, it doesn't take much to stand out.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, it doesn't take a whole lot. It takes that consistent effort. And what usually happens is people, especially in real estate, we get busy, right? And all of a sudden you're managing multiple transactions. It's a hot market, and then everything like content creation and all that sort of falls on the back burner. And that's where we see these big peaks and valleys that happen with real estate, right? It's like, oh, I'm so busy. Oh, wait, I have nothing. Oh, I'm so busy. Wait, I have nothing.
Right.
And to kind of even out those peaks and valleys, that's where content makes a huge difference. And so I would really recommend for any agent or broker, you've got to just you have to have a plan. And a plan can be as simple as, we just use a simple Google document, and I have a topic every single week. We mapped it out for the rest of the year of, this is the topic I'm going to talk about every single week on video. Just knowing in advance what that topic is. Of course, it might change, if we decide to talk about something else, but it just makes it so much easier, because now I can sit down and go, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm talking about. Boom, we get it done, and it's just this machine, right, of getting it out
Right.
there. But that consistency, it's the name of the game.
Right, exactly. It doesn't take much effort to do that, because if you plan it out in advance, it's no longer, oh crap, what am I going to talk about today?
Right.
You know how people struggle with that. They're like, and you can tell they're really trying hard, but they're getting a big blank.
Right, exactly. And so taking the time to think ahead, and a lot of times I'll have people ask me, well, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm having for, for dinner, let alone what would I talk about for the next, 6 weeks or 12 weeks or the rest of the year. But, I think a good place to start is to ask your audience. There's nothing wrong with going on Facebook and saying, hey, we're brainstorming. I'm going to be starting a new video series or a new podcast series, and I really want to be helpful. What questions do you have about real estate? What questions do you have about housing or the local market? If you were me, what are some topics that would be of interest to you? And I've done this myself. I do this probably once a year, and I get dozens and dozens and dozens of comments. And it's always things that I'm like, really? I had no idea people would be interested in that. And that, is a great place to start. I'll open up my Google document and go, okay, and just, kind of copy and paste. Okay, great. Now I've got 12 topics, 10 topics, a good place to start. With content, just asking your audience can make a big difference.
Right. I think that's something people forget about, that the easiest way is just to start asking the people that already know you instead of trying to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, don't guess. Like, I think a lot of times we want to surprise people, make a big thing, just ask, just ask people on what, it's also great. When we do this, I also will send an email out and say, hey, we're doing a quick poll on Facebook. Here's the link to my post. I would love your opinion. What would be the most helpful for you? How can I be and I think when you come from a place of how can I be the most helpful for you? What questions can I answer for you? People really resonate with that because you're not selling them. You're not saying, and, I want you to, do X, Y, Z. You're just coming from a place of abundance, right? Versus scarcity. And that's really powerful,
It is indeed, because it doesn't take much to stand out that way, because people can resonate easily with those who are in a position of abundance. Mm-hmm. But then it's just like, animals can sense fear. Innately, we can sense that person who's coming from a place of scarcity, and they have that commission breath and everything they're saying, like, I've got to close this deal, otherwise it's ramen for the next 6 months.
Exactly. Yeah, it's true. It's really true. And I would say too, I wouldn't underestimate the power of not just social media, but email too. I was just thinking as you were talking, one of my good friends, they run a brokerage up in Seattle. I don't know if you know them or not. They're called the Divas, Team Diva Real Estate, and they do such a great job they do blog content and video content, and they've got a great email newsletter that goes out once a week, and they've just built this great community where they're highlighting their clients and they're creating content, and it's gotten to the point where they've got their clients going, I want to get featured in your newsletter. Like, how do I get a video about me? Or but it's taking time. And they've built this great community, and but they invest in the resources for creating content and putting a strategy together. So it's it makes a big difference for sure.
It does, and I think that's something where people have to realize it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
Because you'll see people say, "Oh, I have this amazing success right away," but what people don't realize is that for the long-term success, it takes time to build that community, to build that followership up. Because I'm sure that when the Diva real estate team there, when they first started, it wasn't like we put a post out and everybody said we love you and they came right in.
Exactly. And I think the problem is most people, they give up too soon. They think, oh, I've been doing, no one's, and I see this happen all the time. Oh, Katie, I am creating videos, but I'm getting 20 views on YouTube. No one's watching my stuff. The only people who are commenting on my Facebook Live is my mom, right? Or my daughter or whatever. And, but it's the accumulated effort over the course of time. It's just like you're pushing a snowball up the hill, and most people give up before they get to the top of the hill. And the beautiful part is once you've been doing it consistently, first of all, it just becomes easier and faster. So instead of taking 2 hours to write a blog post, I could do it in 10 minutes, right? Instead of, stressing out about a video, I could create 3 in 30 minutes. First of all, it just becomes easier because the more you do it, it's like a muscle. But second of all, once you start doing it consistently, you get to the top of that mountain and you push that snowball down, and it's amazing how fast things take off, and how the traction that you can get. But it is all about that consistency and putting in the time and effort over the long haul. For me, I've been blogging for years, but it doesn't necessarily take years, but you do have to put in that effort. You really have to commit to it, just like anything else that you do with marketing. You can't, if you're going to do a postcard campaign, you can't just send one out. You've got to do it for 12 to 18 months, every month, same thing, email marketing, anything. You've got to put in that consistent effort.
Right. I look back to when I first started this podcast. In the beginning, it would take me an hour to do the editing, to write up all the notes for the blog post and to get it posted. Now, I'm done with everything on average within 20 minutes.
That's awesome. Yep.
Just from having a system now, okay, I know exactly how I'm going to say this. I changed the way I take notes, all of it, so it happens really fast. At the beginning, it's what am I doing? It's
Right.
like you're trying to walk. It's like you're watching a child walk for the first time. They know they're going in the direction, but they have no idea what they're doing.
Exactly, exactly. And I also think that a lot of people wait, or they wait until they have it all figured out, right? And for whatever reason, I see this happen more with females than than the guys. But it's like, oh, I want to get the right plan in place. I got to get the right assistant. I got to upgrade my software. I got to, I've got this laundry list of everything I got to do before everything's perfect. Well, here's the news: is that it's never going to be the right time, right? Like, even though, yes, it's important to have a strategy. Like, don't suffer from analysis paralysis, right? So you may
Right.
not know exactly, like with podcasting, at some point you just had to like jump in. You might have been like, I don't know if this is the right platform. I don't really know if I'm asking the right questions. I don't really, but you just, at some point, you just do it, and then you learn and you get better and more efficient, and you go from there.
Right, exactly. That's the whole process. You get better and better at it. And it's not
Yeah.
like I started it and realized I can make these amazing interviews just happen in an instant. Now, they were far from that in the very beginning. I can tell everyone that right now.
Exactly,
But it gets better with
exactly.
practice.
Yeah.
So, when we're talking about the community building, is like using the Diva team as example, how long did it take them before they really started to see traction by being consistent on a daily basis?
I would say, probably a good year or so. I mean, probably a good anywhere from 12 to 18 months. I mean, they were doing a lot of stuff kind of here and there. And then, I really remember when they kind of like ramped it up and were like, no, we're going to get really consistent instead of just, shooting a video once in a blue moon or sending out an email when we felt like we had something to say. They really got consistent about sending out their email on a specific day and committing to once or twice a week creating content, whether that was the story behind a listing or community content. It was really kind of just taking things up a notch and just committing to being consistent and putting out regular content. And then also, like you said, thinking about how to use some of the different social media platforms as a distribution channel. So I think they do a really great job on their business page with their content, and, they also do some advertising, and then also leveraging Instagram and, a little bit on Twitter, and they've got a great presence on Yelp. That's a whole other conversation.
Right.
But probably a good 12 to 18 months. I'd have to chat with them to find out exactly how long, but if I had to guess, that's about how long I would say. But
Right.
now it's like they get so. I mean, that's most of their business that they're getting is. I don't think they do anything with. I could be wrong, but I don't think they do a whole lot with any of the portals and sort of like the traditional lead gen type stuff. Because the leads that they get from the content they create are so much better. In fact, I was talking to them recently, and they're like, again, people will say, we've been reading your email newsletter for a while, or we've been following you on your blog or your videos, and they've been building these relationships with people, and they haven't. It's like they haven't even realized it because you're building a relationship by putting out really good content, and those leads are, like I said, so much better than just a lot of times traditional sort of online leads where people don't know you, they just happen upon your website, and you're just another realtor.
Right, exactly. But it definitely does sound like, at the end of the day, it's vital to leverage these different platforms to build that community and just being consistent on a day-to-day basis, and eventually it will happen.
Yeah, it definitely happens. It's almost like, when I kind of first started in the professional world, like I got my start in sales, and I always learned early on that it's a numbers game. And I'm dating myself, but this was before email, so it was all about the phone. And I knew if I made a certain number of calls, I would get a certain number of people on the phone, and a certain number of those people would turn into sales. And I always kind of relied on that, like it's a numbers game. And I've always kind of translated that to social media and content marketing. And I just always believe in that. Like, the more you put out there, the more consistent you are, the longer you do it, like, the numbers don't lie. It always works out in your favor. It just does. And I've seen that not just with myself, but so many other agents and brokers and clients we've worked with. It's just, you've got to put in that effort, and it can't just be once in a blue moon. If you blog once a month it's going to take longer. But if you step it up and you do it once a week, you improve your odds, right? It's like going to Vegas, right? Stack the deck in your favor. So,
Right. Exactly. It's something you just have to do to stack things in your favor. Otherwise, stuff doesn't happen. But it's no matter what, you have to get started because, some people say, well, oh, I don't know. I don't want to do it yet. But at the same time, 12 months from now, June of 2018, it's going to arrive one way or the other. It's either you get started today and you have this machine in motion, or you're waiting and you're still at the starting line.
Right. Exactly. And I would just encourage anybody who's listening to this today, just start today. Maybe you don't have a blog on your website. Maybe you've never done a video. Like, take your phone out, turn the camera on yourself. You don't have to actually send this to anybody, right? But just think about, like, what could you talk about that anybody, like if your best friend asked you about the real estate market, what would you say? And do your first video. And your first one will probably not be that great. You probably won't want to post it anyway,
right.
But you just got to start. And I really emphasize the phone a lot because we're all walking around these smartphones and the capability on all of them is so incredible. Of course, there's some great equipment and, mics and lighting and audio and all this great stuff you could add on. But when you first start, you don't need all that. Just start with where you're at,
Right. Make it simple, like in the beginning, instead of all the fancy equipment, just so that way it just looks a little bit better than you just holding it with your hand. Mm-hmm. Go spend $20 on a selfie stick.
Yes, exactly. Or even one of those I have like a little $20 tripod you can just put right on your desk.
Right.
Honestly, I lived with that forever and ever. Just a little tripod or a selfie stick. Exactly. And again, I think just one tip I'll give is like, look at your life as content. As you're out and about, you had a great conversation with a client or a potential client and you got asked that question you always get asked, right? That's a great opportunity to share that. Maybe it's a quick video, maybe it's a Snapchat story or a quick Facebook Live, and obviously you're not, giving away all the details of your clients and who they are and everything, but it could be as simple as, gosh, I just had a great conversation this week with a client and they asked me a question I get asked all the time and I want to share it here with you guys, right? And you kind of start there. You start looking at your life as content. You look for moments of opportunity, and it's amazing what can happen.
Oh, definitely. It's something that it changes it when you look at life as opportunity. It doesn't matter what's going on. You can turn it into something that's really effective. You just have to decide that this is content that people's worth sharing. Because sometimes I think we all fall into that trap, like, gosh, that's boring. Why would anyone care to know about this? But for some people, like, oh my gosh, that's fascinating. That's how you come up with content ideas?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, one of the things I've done for years and years is if someone asks me a question more than once or twice, I just write it down. I have like a little notebook by my laptop. And as much as I love technology, I still love pen and paper. So I'll just make a little note. And I'm always just thinking, just kind of on the lookout for how I can be helpful. And so that list a lot of times turns into a quick video, or maybe it's a quick Snapchat story, or whatever platform I'm kind of focusing on that day. And that way I'm never like, gosh, what should I talk about? Because I'm just, again, sort of looking at my community to say, well, what are people asking me and how can I be of value?
Right, exactly. I'm with you. Is still doing things with paper, like all my journaling I do. That's still by pen and paper. I have these nice little journal books I write in. Mm-hmm. Because to me, it's relaxing to do that. Because in the mornings, I don't touch technology for at least the first hour and a half.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think we've sort of moved. I think on one hand, for a while, everyone was like on their phone first thing in the morning, like, how I'm going to keep up with the Joneses. I'm going to impress everybody because I'm the first one on my phone at 5 a.m. or whatever. And I agree. I think a lot of us have gone through this of like, you know what? I don't want my phone to be the first thing I look at, first thing in the morning, and just kind of taking back control. I'm with you. I mean, my morning I spend time with my family, my kids, and then they go off to school or whatever they're doing in the summer. And then I'm like, okay, now I can look at email. I told my husband this last night. I said, we're not brain surgeons, right? Like, this isn't rocket science. There's nothing that urgent that I have to look at 7 a.m, or whatever time,
Right.
It goes back to, like we said in the beginning, it's that quality of life. It's like setting those boundaries. And I don't know. I think we live in a society where it's really valued to hustle and to work hard. Who works more? Oh, I work 80 hours a week. And at the end of at the end of your life, there's that cliche. No one ever said, "Oh, I wish I spent more time at the office," right? I wish I spent more time with my clients. Like, I love what I do, but like, I do what I do, and I think agents are in the business of what they do also because so they can have that quality of life. So. That's a whole nother podcast, right? But it really ties into what we're talking about.
Right, exactly. It's all about you have to know what to share and when just to step away, because if it's a 24/7 type thing, it'll turn into that movie that came out ages ago, The Truman Show.
Yes, exactly. Where everything is a commercial and everything is online. 100%. I agree with you.
Right. Who would have thought when that movie came out that it would turn into this is how people are right now, broadcasting everything in their lives.
I know. It is funny. Especially when live streaming really became a big thing probably about a year or two ago with Periscope first and now Facebook Live. It really felt that way of, oh my gosh, we're living in the Truman Show.
Right. Exactly. Like, you want to share snippets, but for crying out loud, you don't have to turn it on and leave it.
Right. Exactly. No one cares about all that.
Right. Like, we don't really care that, you're walking up and down every single aisle in the grocery store. Doesn't really matter.
Right.
Share something of value, share something that's engaging.
Right.
But the routine stuff, just do it and be done with it.
Right. Exactly.
You have to draw a line. So as we begin wrapping everything up here, what's one thing you would recommend for agents, entrepreneurs do so they're a little bit smarter with their social?
I would say, I think it's important to take kind of an assessment of where you're at with social media. I mean, for some people, maybe they're at the very beginning, so it's really easy for, it's like, okay, well, we're nowhere, so that's a good place, easy to evaluate. But I think for most of us, we're on social at some point. So I would recommend, take a little, audit of yourself. If you've never done this before, I mean, this is what we do with our clients. We look at all their social media profiles. We'll look to see, are your links working, and what does your description say about yourself, and do you have your contact information out there? Like, I would say that's a great place to kind of get smarter about it. Pull up your Facebook, pull up your LinkedIn. If you maybe created a Pinterest account 2 years ago and you haven't done anything with it, like, pull it all up. Don't be afraid to look at it and make sure it's up to date. And if it's not a place that you want to be, it's okay to also either delete it or just deactivate it. I mean, most social media accounts you can actually turn private or kind of deactivate. I almost feel like if you're not there, it's it's like I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's the best impression when you go to someone's, social media page and they're obviously not there. They're right. They just have it there, but they're not there. So, I would think that's a great place to start as far as getting smarter about social media, kind of evaluate, do a little bit of an audit. The summer, for a lot of us is a little bit of a quieter time with business. So take a half an hour or so, kind of audit yourself, see where you're at, decide what are the one or two platforms you really want to go all in on. And then from a content perspective, if you're already creating content, I would challenge anyone listening to look to, challenge them to kind of step up what they're doing when it comes to content. If you're only creating content once a month, can you step that up to twice a month or once a week? Do you have a content strategy in place? Do you have a content plan in place? Now's a great time to think about that for the rest of the year and going into next year. And if you don't have a content plan in place, now is the time to think about that. Start thinking about those questions that people ask you all the time. Put something out on Facebook or email your database. How can I help you? What are questions that you have? And start to really think about what type of content could you start to create. And then, just start, right? Just as Nike said, just do it. Just start, and rinse and repeat and see what works and what doesn't work. But, you gotta kind of try out different things and see what works best for you.
Exactly. I always tell people, just get started. You can make it look pretty later.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's so true. It's with anything. I mean, my first videos a few years ago, or whenever I first started doing video, I mean, it's probably terrible. Hopefully they're probably out on YouTube somewhere, but you just,
right.
Same thing with blogging or anything. You just, you just get better, and then it gets faster. You get more efficient with it. You learn. I mean, I remember some of my first videos, I don't even think I introduced myself. Like, I remember having the camera at like a weird angle. It was like dark, I mean,
Right.
You learn and then you get better. So you gotta jump in and you gotta start. And the good news is it's not too late. I mean, even though social media is not necessarily the hot new thing anymore, if you look around your local market, I would say for most agents, everybody's got a Facebook page, pretty much. But there's a very small percentage of people right now who are creating content, who are not afraid to put themselves out there a little bit, create a little bit of video content or Facebook Live content. And so the opportunity is wide open. I think for anyone listening, you've got a really amazing opportunity to really stand out from the competition and brand yourself as doing something different, because honestly, a lot of people are scared of it. So if you're the person who's like, okay, I'm scared, but I'm still going to do it, then I would say go for it. You've got a big opportunity.
Right, exactly. You just have to jump in there because you might be surprised at the results.
Exactly.
So how can people learn more about what you do, Kaite, and ultimately reach out to you?
Absolutely. So probably two ways. My website is going to connect you with everything we do, kaitelance.com. We've got lots of great free resources. We have a great email newsletter we put out every week. People can go there. They can even download a content grid, which has been really helpful for a lot of agents, just getting kind of a jump start when it comes to content strategy. So just kaitelance.com would be the best. And then also, got to mention my book. Published a book earlier this year, or actually a month or two ago. And, everything we talked about today is exactly what we talked about in the book. And that's just getsocialsmartbook.com. Or they can find it on Amazon also.
Oh, that is awesome. Well, Kaite, I want to thank you once again for coming to the podcast today and sharing your wealth of wisdom about getting social smart.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks for listening to the Big Movement Podcast today. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Now that you've surely been inspired to take your entrepreneurial career and business to the next level, you can stop by the website and get more. And if you're ready to boost your business brand, be sure to grab your free report, 7 Easy Steps to Build Your Brand Today.